Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Suna-Podcast. Der Podcast, bei dem wir mit interessanten FilmemacherInnen über ihr Leben, ihre Arbeit und ihre Lieblingsfilme auf Suna sprechen. Suna ist eine europäische Streaming-Plattform mit Sitz in Berlin, wo ihr exklusive Festival-Highlights, aber auch aufregendes Kino einer neuen Generation von FilmemacherInnen finden könnt. Ich bin Franziska Weiler und heute darf ich mit dem Regisseur Philippe Grégoire sprechen, der für Suna eine Liste seiner Lieblingsfilme kuratiert hat. Philipp kommt aus Kanada, weswegen wir das Gespräch auf Englisch geführt haben. Ihr könnt es allerdings auch als Video auf unserem YouTube-Kanal mit deutschen Untertiteln finden. Viel Spaß! So, shall we dive in?
Yes, let's start that.
Okay, perfect. So, Philippe, I read that you come from a very small village near Quebec, close to the border of the US. I'm also from a very small village, so I know that there are normally not a lot of filmmakers there. And I was wondering, like, if you didn't have any role models close by, what inspired you or gave you the idea of becoming a filmmaker?
No, I didn't have anyone that was very close to me, even though when you're coming from a small village, there's always these people talking, saying, oh, this actor or this actress, she's from this little place there, and you all like kind of hear from them, like they could be modeled. But in a way, I grew up having a sister who was drawing all the time. She went to study film animation, and like she started drawing when she was 3. She was older than myself, and from there we were always seeing my sister as the artist. So I was okay, so like my sister, she's an artist, she's going to art school, I don't know, but myself, I was the one into sports or any other kind of stuff, even though I was watching movies, enjoying it, talking with it to my sister. But I didn't know that. I thought that everyone were talking about movies or enjoying arts as we were doing, my sister and I. And then suddenly, I like slowly I went into study cinema and literature, and I slowly moved to writing and directing. That was not something I was aiming. That was not something at first. I was thinking that when I was 15 years old, or like you have like these edges that some filmmakers, they knew since they were born that they were going to be filmmakers. I had no idea. To be honest, I like one of the thing that probably put me away from cinema was this idea that I was looking at a movie and it seemed so complicated. I was like, you need to write everything. You have like to shoot every scenes, every shot. This is a lot of work. I was thinking this is some work for other people. Like they are geniuses. These people, they're just. I was admiring these filmmakers. I was not seeing myself as a filmmaker. I was thinking this is for other very talented people. And then suddenly, at some point, I was studying cinema and literature, and I was looking at the people that were making movies, and I don't know, this is not the type of movie I was watching their movies and thinking I would do something else. I don't know, I would do, and then suddenly I started to write and being, okay, well, maybe I'm going to shoot this little thing with a camera, but I didn't want to be, like I said, a filmmaker. I thought, like, I'm not going to think of that. And then suddenly, like, I was shooting things with a friend, and then we were 3. And on the next shooting, we were 5, and we grew up this way. And probably this is where it's coming from, that I just build up like one at a time. And but no, like coming from my village, my hometown, and also I got very fortunate. My parents, they were very, very open-minded in a way that, oh, you're going to university, yeah, do whatever you want. And I had no pressure at all, and I never felt like having pressure or being responsible of making a living out of it. I was just studying in a way that I need to study something that I enjoy, that I'm gonna like, because then it's not gonna work. So this is like the path I decided. I was like, yeah, I do enjoy cinema and literature, and I was only going to university at first in a theoretical, like in theory. I was studying only theory and not practice, and then I moved to practice. So yeah, that was like, I always felt very comfortable doing whatever I wanted to do. So yeah, that could be it. But I mean, I'm not coming like, whenever you have all these opportunities, I didn't need to have like a model coming from my hometown or something like that. I felt well, this is possible. And in Quebec, there's Cinéma Québécois. You're watching every year, you know that they're making movies in Quebec. This is part of our identity, I would say. This is important to the people in Quebec. And I was thinking, so there's a possibility there. It's part of our heritage, of our culture. So, I mean, I felt that I could be part of that and I could build on making my own Cinéma Québécois.
Yeah, I think you are also bringing like a new perspective to the cinema, right? Because if you have a different background, you can also enrich the cinema with a fresh perspective from the outside, right?
Well, you know, since I was growing up in a place where we were never, like, there was never no camera coming in our hometown. I mean, people being on television and cinema, that was something from another world. It was like Hollywood. And so whenever I was starting to write my first screenplay, I was always thinking about, all right, I'd like to shoot something like in these cornfields here. I'd like to shoot something here. And I started to realize at some point I was the only one that was in film school. I was the one that was always having stories that were happening in the countryside, and I felt responsible in bringing the camera there. And on my first feature film, because when I was writing my first feature film, I was thinking maybe this is going to be my last one. Because I mean, if you're not doing good, like we're on very, very thin ice. Like you get an opportunity, and then next there's going to be some like 20 people, 50 people are waiting to make their first feature film. And if you don't do good on the first one, it could be your last one. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's my last one because maybe they're not going to give me another opportunity to make another one. So I'll talk about things that are very important to me, and then I could look at it in maybe 20 years from today and being, well, I'm happy that I took the time to film this part of my life, this part of where I grew up. These people, like I was shooting at friends' place. I mean, I tried to involve a lot of my friends that were friends from which we grew up together. The poster of the movie was made by a friend that I mean, we went to school. We were 6 years old when I first met him. We played ice hockey together. So when I got this opportunity to involve people from my hometown, I was calling them and making sure like we're doing this together. And they were responding yes, knowing that this could be my last one. They also knew it. And and to this day, like it's still funny when I'm presenting the movie to my parents and they're surprised that, hey, we really did that like at this place, because also my parents were involved in making the movie happen in a way that when I was writing, I was thinking, where am I going to shoot this movie? Because maybe I'm like, no one's going to help me. So I better like ask my parents that we could shoot at their place. I knew that they were going to be open-minded with that. And so like right now, I'm very, very happy that, and you know, people in film festival were asking me, how the people of your hometown, they got the opportunity to see your movie? And I was like, finally they did. They had a big outdoor screening where we could share the movie with the people of my hometown. But I do remember thinking that, well, the people of my hometown are really happy that I got the opportunity to travel and show our hometown to the people. Because I mean, just like I was saying at first, there is never no one filming there. There is no camera. So finally, we got this opportunity.
Would you say that it was more important for you to show the people of your hometown, or more important for you to like do it for the audience, to show the audience where you come from in this part of Canada? Like, who did you have more in mind? What was the motivation there?
I mean, well, there has been like after I've shot the movie, there's been some people talking to me saying, just like you were mentioning at first, that there are some like few actors and actresses that are coming from maybe the surrounding areas. And one person I talked to from my hometown said, hey, it would have been great to have actors and actresses that are also from here in your movie. And then after that, I was like, yeah, that person was right in a way that I was shooting like landscape and spaces from where we're from. But I mean, like the characters were people from Montreal or from abroad, from other places of Quebec. And I was like, okay, so maybe next time this is something I could think of, trying to build a community of people that are coming from around the same place. But also when I was thinking of that, I was like, when you're writing the dialogues, and I could, like, if I was writing dialogues or for people that are coming from my hometown, we could like have these special way of talking that are explicitly like linked to where we're coming from, these dialects that are very interesting. So I was also thinking of that. And I mean, you don't have to explain how things are working there in the countryside, because they probably grew up there. So this is something that was important to me. But yeah, I would say that at first, having these images, but also I was filming like a lot of the screenplay I was like, my hometown is known for its racetrack. And I was looking at the racetrack thinking, well, it's like, it's making a lot of noise there. Like, these cars are from the 70s. Like, maybe like for future generations, they're maybe not really into burning gas and making a lot of noises. And when I was looking at it, it looked like it looks like something from the 70s, like all these buildings around the racetrack, and the racetrack, it looks like a sport from maybe another era. And I was thinking, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe this is going to disappear. And I mean, this is part of the identity of my hometown. So are we going to lose this identity? So I was thinking, I've never like shot a short film. I've never done anything there. So let's try to build something on what we're known for. Let's put it on film. Like, and after that, it's just like a kind of a documentary aspect, like taking this, making sure we have it. Then if something happens in the future, like it disappears or I don't know what, then we could say, well, that like we've made it when it was there. That was important to me as well.
Yeah, I feel like also in the noise of engine, it feels a bit nostalgic. There's kind of a nostalgic touch in it in that way.
Yeah, yes, because in the movie, the character of Alexandre, he's talking about his hometown in a way that, because this is something I felt when I was maybe in my, like, because I like in my early 20s, when I was still strongly feeling that I was part of this hometown, and then suddenly I started to realize that some other people were moving to this hometown, and they were the new ones, the people that were living there, and I was living in Montreal, and suddenly I a stranger to my hometown? And I was like, no, and then I talked with some people, and I was even talking to a friend, like his brother that I've known since I was really young, and I was telling him, am I supposed to talk about here since I'm not from here anymore? I'm not living here anymore. I live in Montreal. And he was saying, no, I mean, like, you've grown up here. Like, you're part, like, we share the same blood. We're the same people. You could say whatever. As long as you're from here, you're okay talking about us. I was like, okay. Then I felt really good when I heard that. So I could understand that. I mean, this identity. I mean, I'm from there. I moved to Montreal. My parents are still there, and I go there as many times as I can. So yeah, so there's always nostalgia. But I mean, there is nostalgia, but also when I talk to my parents, we're talking about what's happening in this hometown all the time. I know like which companies are moving, what's happening all the time. When I'm driving through it, I look and I talk to my parents. So I'm always very focused on it. And I mean, all of my short films were done in my hometown. And I mean, I'm writing my next screenplay right now, and it's gonna happen in my hometown again. I'm not gonna change that. This is important to me.
Yeah, do you feel that there's something else motivating you, like not only for noise of engines, but for your total span of work? Is there, like, would you say you have some kind of mission? I know it's a big word, but or is that it basically?
I mean, yeah, well, when you're like, because this is something I realized making my first feature film, is that you're gonna and like talk about this movie for a long time, because I mean, people are gonna tell you they like a movie. People could have seen it yesterday, and maybe you've made that movie 10 years ago, and then they're gonna talk to you like they've just watched it the evening before they get to see you, and then you'll be like, yeah, I have to think about it. So like it gives you pressure in a way that I'm like, when I'm writing something, making a movie takes a lot of time. I mean, getting the money, then you're shooting, a lot of preparation. So it's years. So then you start to feel, what is it that I strongly want to work with, that I strongly believe in, and I could talk about it for years, not for for a day or two or for a few weeks, but for years, I'm going to be happy to talk about that. So like for that reason, I realize how much time you need before you start to write, like just being sure that you have this subject. So this idea of making a movie where like I feel some responsibility, yes, I do. I do believe it's important when you're making a movie. It's not just something you're doing randomly. It's something it's going to be part of you for the rest of your life. So better not miss that. Like when, like the starting point is very, very important.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk to you about the list you curated for Suna. You picked some of your favorite movies from the platform. Would you say that you also had some kind of goal in mind? Like, can you explain a little the process of putting that together?
Yeah, it's not easy to make a list. And you know, I was watching some of the others filmmakers list, and I was thinking, to me it was important to bring people to movies that they could have heard of, but maybe not, in a way that they could be curious to watch these movies. And so there are some newcomers filmmakers in that list. There are some well-known filmmakers, and I wanted to have like a different space for these different ways of seeing things. I wanted to make sure that there was going to be documentary movies, not only fiction films. I wanted to look for interesting male and female directors. That was something that I want to make sure on my list. So and also something, I mean, you could see that there are some very like Quebecois movies. So in a way, this is important to me. It's part of my identity. It's part of movies that I grew up watching. And also influenced by watching movies from all over the world. So I try to have movies from different countries. I mean, whenever I was looking at like a list of, I'm not looking at the 10 best, or I'm looking at something that, and also when I'm watching a movie myself, I'm not looking at a movie that is going to be like trying to be precise and very, very well done. I'm trying to look at something that at some point will make me travel myself, will make like my ideas moving, and I'll be just sitting, but also getting somewhere else. So like I could see that when whoever's watching could find this idea in these movies, that they're traveling, and maybe at the end of it they'll be like, yeah, I'm like, there's something that I got from watching this movie.
And is it only that, or are you also a fan of just plain, simple entertainment, just leaning back and no challenge at all?
Well, you know, I mean, like this is what I believe for cinephiles. Cinephiles, you have to be curious on all kinds of movies. I mean, this is something I don't know, like sometimes I do feel that in the music industry, you have like different genre where you wouldn't see that much, like people that are listening to death metal won't be listening to hip hop music, but it's not always the case, but sometimes it's like that. And I would say in cinema, you have to be curious on everything. Myself, I could watch horror movies, I could watch drama, animation. I'm really open-minded, and I feel this is something really, really great. And I mean, I know there are some genre that I'm less attracted to. I know myself, but I'm always curious to know, some people, they love these movies. What are they looking for? And I mean, when you're going to the cinema, you're always questioning yourself in a way. Oh, a friend of mine told me he totally loved that movie, and I didn't like it. What is it that my friend was seeing it? Because at some point you'll feel jealous. You'll be like, well, I'm missing something, and there's something I could learn from it. So this is very important to me, just to think about it. And this is like, it happened to me many, many times, where when I was watching a movie, and then I was like, oh, I hated that movie. I didn't like it. And then like a day after too, and then I started to think about that scene, and that's a good one. And then like a week after, I was thinking about that other part with that other part, and I was out that this is good. And then I was thinking, I believe I totally loved that movie in the end. And then I watched it being, wow, this is such a good movie. Like, this is brilliant. But at first I was telling everyone, this is so bad. And then so it takes some times. And I would say that there are many movies where I totally hated at first. And like hating a movie is also like a good way of feeling towards, because it's getting to you. And if like, I mean, the worst you could get is just saying, yeah, okay. Like, okay is terrible. Like you're either aiming at you hated it or you loved it. So like at least there's a next change on these movies. And maybe this is something that also happened to me when making a short films, where I do remember like I did a short film where people were like, it's good. And I was, okay, so this is what I'm getting from the audience. This is what people are telling me it's good. I was, so then the next short film, I did something totally radical. And people were like, what did you do there? I was, okay, so at least I'm trying something. At least it was not good what I did, but it was something that I could, okay, well, I'm trying to do something different here. So since then, I've been thinking of, let's challenge myself. Let's see where we're heading. I mean, this is also something I strongly believe now, and I've learned while making this movie, making the noise of engines. I was just thinking all the time, I don't know, I'm trying something. I'm like, let's try this. Let's challenge ourselves. I was telling that to the team I was working with whenever we had to make a decisions on something. Is this best to do it this way? And I was, what is more intriguing? What would be a task? Like there's this the path that is more secure, and there's this other one where we don't know where it's heading. Okay, let's try this one because we're gonna learn something out of it. And then at the end, you could be, oh, that was a good idea, or we could be, oh, that was a bad idea, but we're learning something. And this is always something I'm looking for. What am I gonna learn in that? And on the next one, I'm all like that I'm writing right now, I'm also questioning myself, okay, is this dangerous? Is it? Yes. Okay, I believe it's dangerous for myself. I'm gonna learn something out of it, so I want to try that. Let's do something I've never done. I mean, it's not something I've never done, but let's try to do something that is going to be different. It's going to be challenging. And there's also this thing when you're on a film set. I mean, I'm not making a movie every 3 months, but like your film crew, they're on film sets every time. And when you have these people and they're looking at their work and they're like, wow, this is challenging. You're thinking you're proud of yourself. Oh, we're doing something that you won't be doing next week or the month. And they're like, oh no, this is something totally different. So you're like, okay, so this is worth something. You want to you want to involve these people and to challenge them. And they look at the end of the day and they'll be like, wow, this is something different we did today. And this is something I'm really looking forward to all the time. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You were also so kind to send us some behind-the-scenes extras for Suna, which we put under the noise of engine. And in there, you could see that there must have been some kind of rough days on set. At least that was the impression. And like, I know a film is like a group effort and a group working together, the crew. But I guess as a director, you also have some kind of special responsibility for everyone. And I was wondering, like, how did you deal with that? Was it tough for you, this kind of responsibility, or what was that like?
I mean, as a first feature film director, all the people that are surrounding you, most of the time they have much more experience than you. And I mean, you're the one that you're saying, oh, I wrote that thing and we're shooting it, and people are looking at you and you feel, well, maybe they could look at you being, why am I listening to you? What do you know? And I could say they could be right. Who am I? I mean, like, this is my first screenplay. So it was challenging, but I mean, this is something you have to enjoy it. You have to like I said, I did, like, sometimes I was totally enjoying it and it was quite funny to do it. And some other days I was, oh, maybe I missed on that. And like I said, I took a lot of notes. I'm like, okay, so this went good. Like I learned something out of it. And then on the next one, I mean, I do remember, like, at the middle of the shoot, I was very tired. I was getting little sleep, probably like 3 hours of sleep for like by night for a month and a half. And I was to myself, I was totally sure that you couldn't have like 3 hours of sleep. Sometimes it was an hour and a half. Like it was crazy. I was never like getting any more than 3 hours of sleep. And in the middle, I could feel I was very tired. And I mean, these people, they need you to be there. And when like, because they're also gonna feel that they're getting tired as well. And this is when you have to come up with some ideas and being like, yeah, I know that my crew is not a little tired, but I have to be there for them. And I felt responsible, in the middle of the shoot, being like, when I remember when we were doing the editing of the movie, this scene, like I do remember that specific day, I was tired, the film crew was tired. I should have I should have been there maybe better for my team. So next time I'm really thinking of, it's just like it's a marathon. You have to think of, okay, how am I using my energy right now? Like, because on some day I'll have to be there. But yeah, I mean, like looking at the behind the scenes, I mean, even when I do remember like the first time I watched it, I was very nervous. I was feeling exactly at the same moment. I was surprised how much nervous I was while watching it. So yeah, that was something. But it's crazy to think like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's do another one. It's gonna be terrible, but let's do it again. I mean, I guess we're all looking at challenges, and this is why we want to try it again. Yeah.
I mean, sleep deprivation is a form of torture in some instances. But like, what made you decide, like, I don't know, or what keeps you motivated to not give up, to not be like, oh, is there a point, like, after you finish a film, for at least for a few days, where you are like, never again, this is it?
Oh no, I mean, you want to do it. I mean, this is something you've been thinking like for a long time. You'll be doing it, but you're also like your film crew. I mean, these people, they're doing this all year long, and like for some other people, you would be like, why do you want to do that kind of work? This is crazy. But these people, they love this energy. They're really looking for that. They like to challenge themselves, and so this is something that is very impressive. I like the first assistant director on the movie. He's like, we got very fortunate that he's well known for as assistant director in Montreal, and I mean, he had like I think 25 years of experience, so he helped us a lot. But also when you have someone that is that experienced and he's the oldest on the film crew, he's showing up like at 6 a.m. He's the first one there. He has a lot of energy. You're looking at him being, well, I can't complain right now. This man he's a leader on set. I have to follow this guy, so I have to do good because I'm just looking at him and I'm impressed by his work every day. So yeah, there's you need some people around you like that are inspiring you, and it helps a lot. But I'm also, like I said, I know like the next one is going to be a lot of challenge again, but I mean, we're looking forward to do it when it's going to happen.
Yeah, you already mentioned that the noise of engine is some kind of like auto-fictional, but also autobiographical work, inspired by your experiences, also by the one working at the border to the US. And you already said that it wasn't really a pleasant job for you, that you really didn't like it. And I was wondering, like, why you didn't want to leave that behind you, but why make a movie about this experience?
Oh yeah, well, because when I was starting to think, what am I gonna write about, I was thinking, okay, I better write about something I know quite well, because I know that like the audience are gonna ask me, what do you know about this? Like, could you answer? And I was thinking, if I talk about something that the audience know more than I do, I'm gonna be bad at answering questions. I'm gonna write about something like no one could argue with me that, what do you know about that? I said, no, I work for Canada Customs. I worked there as a student. I know exactly how it was, and like no one in the audience is gonna know how it worked. And like it's funny because in Quebec there is a one film producer that like sent me an email saying, "Hey, I've also been a film a custom officer when I was a student." And I was I was pretty sure I was the only one in Quebec that was into the film industry. And she was like, "No, well, like seems like we're two." And so that was funny, but no, I wanted to talk about and this is also when I was thinking of making a movie. I tried to make this movie different, and like not being a movie that you like everyone has seen before. So I was thinking like there's not many, like I knew that there was no other filmmakers that had worked at customs. So I was like, let's talk about that. Let's make a story very precise and based on what I went through. So and people are gonna be very curious about that. And whenever I was telling people around me that, I work for customs, like people were always like, no, really? I was like, yeah. And they were always asking me questions about it. So I was, it seems like it's a subject that could interest people. And it's funny also, like, because I had a friend who was telling me, I mean, it could be good. Your script you told me about when I was writing it said you have like customs officer that are just like policemen, you have guns, you have cars, it's gonna be good. I was like, okay, yeah, it made me smile because I was thinking, yeah, he's probably looking at there's gonna be a special effects and bombs and everything. And I was like, no, it's not that kind of movie, but still funny to hear about it.
And I guess that also wasn't really your experience, right? To have like a big thriller action every day.
If it was I mean, well, like how could I talk about my experience for customs in this movie? I mean the character talks about like, okay, what I tried to do with this movie at some point, the character, like I wanted to talk about customs in Canada and everything. And at first I would say people are looking at it in a way that, oh, this is a story. And at some point you could feel like the main character Alexandre is like at the end of the movie, like you could feel he's talking and looking directly at the camera and I was trying to say, hey, by the way, if you didn't get it, it's not a story anymore. This is the director, the screenwriter director that is telling you, well, this really happened to me. So this is also a funny part that I like in this movie, when you're dealing with, like when people are starting to realize, oh, this is based on a real past experience. So what is true, what is false in this movie? So this is something I totally enjoy. I mean, like every stories are like that. It's based on past personal experiences. But I mean, this one, like I could like add something, add a layer to it, and then suddenly people are just wondering, okay, where is this heading? What is true stuff? This is also something I'm always curious when I'm watching a movie, seeing like thinking about the people behind it. I mean, like there are no, like as of today, there are no robots doing the movies, but I mean, like you're thinking like these are real people, actual people, and where are these people in this movie? I want to see their part. So I want to add that in this movie.
It's also kind of interesting, this urge that you have as an audience to want to find out what really happened and what is fiction, right?
I don't know where it's coming from, but I mean, like I could recognize myself whenever I'm watching a movie and I'm like, I want to know that part, and I'm looking onto Wikipedia, and maybe this is something like we have access nowadays to these informations. Like back in the days, like people could be like, oh, I wonder, and they had no answer. But then in 30 seconds, we have all these answers, and this is a layer we could add. So it's very interesting to think that the audience, they're not clueless anymore. Like they know they could look for like what is behind this movie, and then I mean like also this experience of like reading the movie, and like this is something that's gonna change your view on the movie. Like it's not like an object that is, it's still growing after they've watched the movie. And so I'm thinking when I'm writing about that, I'm always like writing the movie and thinking, what are people gonna look for? What are they searching? Because this is also something where in a society right now where we could be very, very curious, very precise on subjects. So sometimes you could add like very layers, like small ideas. And like you could, in an audience, you'd get one people that'd be like, yeah, I'm getting this reference, what you're saying there. Like that person's the only one, but that person's gonna talk to his or her friend, and then oh yeah, and then like another one was gonna be go on Wikipedia, and then like people will be, oh, this is very interesting, that little thing. And myself, I do enjoy that, so that's why I'm trying to add these layers to my movies and my work.
Yeah, thank you so much. These were all my questions. Is there something that you would like to share with our audience that I forgot to ask you about, something to look out for, or anything else?
What I could say, I mean, like, thank you for having a conversation, Francisca. And but I mean, like, there's many movies to watch on Sooner. There's a lot to watch. Even myself, I was like reminded the other day. I was like, oh, there's this movie I have to watch again. And so we just have to be curious days after days and keep in mind that there's something curious and intriguing that we could look for. I mean, and I hope that on the upcoming years, there's going to be, I don't hope, I know that in the upcoming years, there's going to be a lot of very good movies. So we're just lucky to be a cinephile and enjoying it every day of our lives.
It's the perfect ending, I think, for this interview. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you, Francisca.
All right, then see you soon. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Und das war's auch schon. Philipps Liste mit seinem eigenen Film The Noise of Engines und seinen Lieblingsfilm findet ihr bei Sooner. Und natürlich gibt es da auch eine große Auswahl anderer Filme, die wir mit viel Sorgfalt für euch zusammengestellt haben. Sooner gibt es im Android und iOS App Store, auf unserem Smart TV, Apple TV, im Webbrowser und als Channel bei Amazon Prime. Wenn euch diese Folge gefallen hat, dann abonniert doch gerne unseren Podcast und empfehlt ihn weiter. Und wie immer, wenn euch Sooner gefällt, dann empfehlt doch auch gerne unseren Streaming-Dienst weiter. Bis zur nächsten Folge wünsche ich euch Filme, die euch bewegen, mit Geschichten aus der Provinz oder aus der Hauptstadt. Macht's gut!